This is Morillas and Bad Boy, live from Barcelona at Desperta Ferro Wrestling Club, and you're watching Saved by the Buzzer with Dan and Bill.
Welcome, everyone, to Saved by the Buzzer. I am your host, Dan. This is week 2, or the second time that we're recording our podcast. Hope you're enjoying our podcast. It's available all over the place. Bill, I should probably dive into our AKAs. I am also known as Dad Collector of Coolie Collector. You can check us out on YouTube and Instagram. We're an influencer family. And also known as the former owner of Spry Wrestling. Last week we had an interview with Rip Impact, one of the talent that was in Spry Wrestling. And each and every time that we produce a pod, we'll be talking a lot about Spry Wrestling, or at least when we get to our wrestling segment, we'll be diving a little bit into Spry, maybe doing some comparison. And how about that opener, Bill? We had Morillas from Spain opening our podcast up. Thank you guys very much. I'm going to go into plug them a little bit before we get into some of our stuff. They are in Spain, and their club is known as I'm going to butcher this, Desperta Ferros Pro Wrestling Club. That's Desperta Ferros Pro Wrestling Club, and Desperta Ferros, when translated in English, means awaken the steel. It's an old Catalan war cry, and that was from Morillas and Bad Boy. Thank you guys for opening up our podcast. We'll put all of the links to your social media pages in our podcast in the description of our YouTube and audio podcast. But going right into it, Bill, I've already said your name a couple times. I've introduced myself. This is the host with the most information, my brother, Bill.
All right, everyone. I spent some time going over our first podcast. Just want to make sure everything's fact-checked, because there's just something in my head that I need to make sure everything's right, even if it's the most, minute detail. And I know Dan's probably going to laugh at some of these fact checks, but just to get started, for our 1967 segment last pod, I had said Matthews had 18 points in 20 games. He actually had 18 goals in 20 games. Simmons, his wrist was broken on a Vancouver clearing attempt. It wasn't a blocked shot like I had said. And then for the 3-star segment that we had, Dan had said that
Me?
had said that a Boston player had opened his doors for his teammates in terms of the Texas harsh winter weather thing that we're talking about.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Seguin to me is, if he wasn't a Leaf because we traded him away, then he moved to Boston, and since then I haven't really watched him. So Boston is always on my tongue when I talk about Seguin. But yeah, that's a good fact check, Bill.
He meant Dallas players, guys.
Yeah.
And then just sticking with Seguin, I said that he was allowing players to come up to Ontario because he was actually rehabbing from an injury. I just want to make that clear. He wasn't with the Dallas Stars teammates. He was actually rehabbing in Ontario. And then for when we were talking about Mark Frazier and his role with the Leafs, I had said that the Hockey Diversity Group instead of the Hockey Diversity Alliance. Check them out. NHL wants to be more inclusive, and they're doing an amazing job. The Hockey Diversity Alliance, they're doing a tremendous job. And then for the NFL, I just wanted to point out that when we were talking about J.J. Watt, where he was going to go, we were talking about his joining his brother T.J. Watt, and we forgot to mention Derek Watt is also a Pittsburgh Steelers. So, that would have been cool. We'll talk about J.J. Watt a little bit later in the show. For wrestling, I had said that the WWE wanted to cater more to the Spanish audience. I meant the Latin America audience. And I had said that Damian Priest and Bad Bunny were Spanish. I meant Spanish speaking. So my apologies for my ignorance there. And then for the NBA topics, I had noted that OG Anunoby was 25 years old. He's actually 23. That's probably a minute detail. Dan's giving me a little smirk there. And finally, for the MLB, I had said that the Yankees have a no shave policy, when in actuality, they actually have a shave policy. They want everyone on their team to be clean shaven and short hair. So that's the fact check for the first week podcast. And hope you guys enjoyed that.
That's awesome, Bill. Thank you for putting in the extra time. I don't think I'll ever do that to get those fact checks, especially the age. Speaking of Anunoby, 23 years old. I just turned 35. So when you fact check that one, that hurt a little bit. Now we have somebody else that's even younger than me. And speaking of my birthday, how does my hat look?
I think it looks top notch, buddy. Reverse retro.
Thank you very much, Bill, for the birthday gift. The Toronto Maple Leafs Fanatics. What did you say? The reverse retro hat?
Yeah, it was a reverse retro. They had a little flash sale going on with Real Sports. So
nice.
Yeah, I just wanted to get you a little hat for our podcast. Make sure that we're repping our sports teams.
And we are recording this on March 17. So it's St. Patrick's Day. Guys, if you're listening to our podcast, wherever podcasts are available, as we have our podcast all over the place, be sure to also check us out on YouTube, because we are recording this podcast. You could see the fine hat that I am wearing. And Bill is definitely representing St. Patrick's Day and the Toronto St. Pats with his awesome green and white jersey. And I think I see some more representation in the background there for St. Patrick's Day. Am I right, Bill?
Yeah, I got the Toronto St. Pat's jersey on. Riley is actually listed on the back. We'll post a picture of it so our viewers can actually see it if they're not watching us on YouTube. But yeah, I got to represent March 17th. We're recording this podcast, so got the St. Pat's shirt up there as well behind me, and we're gonna see the Maple Leafs don those jerseys on Friday when they face Calgary. So I'm probably gonna be wearing the same jersey on Friday, and I'm gonna be repping the Buds.
That's awesome. And it's pretty good. It ties in with when we drop this podcast. If everything goes well with YouTube and uploading and everything, Friday we will be dropping the pod. And just to continue on with our introductions, like I said, please be sure to download us. Give us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts. We're all over the place. And we're on YouTube as well. We're trying to get into Twitch, and that might be coming soon because a video game that I will be discussing later on has crossplay. So we'll talk about that later on, and maybe we'll even play on Twitch. If you're looking to sponsor us, we also have sponsorship opportunity. Drop us an email at savedbythebuzzer@gmail.com. That Gmail address again is savedbythebuzzer@gmail.com. And that's for any sponsorship opportunities. If you have any comments, I know we've had some comments. Most of them have been positive. The only negative was that the buzzer was not loud enough. So I don't know, we'll do something to increase the volume of the buzzer. But the whole premise of the show is we have timed segments just to move on and make sure that we cover all of the sports related topics that we think, we could want you guys to hear and that we want to talk about. So we have, I think, 6 segments. Professional wrestling is included in that too, and mixed martial arts. Everything is timed. I know last time Bill had the pod or the buzzer, but I don't know if you can hear that, Bill. We're out of time for the introduction. I turned heel on Bill, and I'm taking the buzzer for one more week. I didn't want to give it up, and truly is because my kids didn't want to give it up. They love pressing the buzzer. With all of that out of the way, I think we got our introductions out of the way. We got the fact check. Thank you, Bill, for that. We have everything. If you guys want to check us out on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, at Saved by the Buzzer Pod. That's at Saved by the Buzzer Pod, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. With all of that out of the way, I think we can jump right into our first segment. And being from Toronto, we got to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is all about the Leafs, all about the NHL. It's called 1967. So, Bill, in our 1967 segment, we talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs. But before we do, I think we talked about doing this. I don't know if you're on board, but what are you drinking?
Do I bring the whole bottle or do I just show you my cup?
Whatever you want.
I'm drinking this bad boy today. Woodford Reserve Bourbon.
Oh, nice.
I'm a big bourbon guy, and it's really smooth, but it's strong, you know?
I'm not going that hard right now. I'm going with Guinness straight out of the can. I know a lot of people don't like it out of the can, but giving a shout out to my cousin John, who didn't pay me a visit. He dropped off a birthday gift, an 8-pack of these bad boys on my steps. So thank you very much, John, for the drink, for the pod, for the next couple weeks, I guess. So cool, Bill. Diving right into it, the Toronto Maple Leafs are falling down the ladder a little bit since the last time we talked. Is this concerning? Do we put out the alarm bells, or are we still in a good spot?
First of all, John, where's my Guinness? Like, it wasn't my birthday, but you know, we live down the street, so pay me a visit, bud. No, but are we referring to the Toronto Maple Leafs as the Toronto St. Pats today, or?
All right, Toronto St. Pats have
all right, okay.
They've fallen down the ladder a little bit. I know this is not hockey, but this week, so since you're showing yours, I'm showing mine. SmackDown. My wife made this one. Last week I was wearing the Raw shirt. This time SmackDown. Still, even though she made it, it's very special, but yours is awesome. So take it away, Bill. Toronto Maple Leafs, St. Pat's.
That's a nice shirt, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, so yeah, they've lost a little bit their way lately. They've lost 4 out of their last 5 games. I think they lost 2 to Vancouver and 2 out of 3 to Winnipeg. But I don't know what to say in terms of, are they falling down the same path of previous Leafs teams? You know, you're more of the level-headed guy. You know, you think with your head more in terms of sports, and you always bring me down to earth when I'm like, oh, the Leafs are gonna win it this year, or the Leafs are gonna, you know, we're gonna make it big. We're gonna win we're gonna win our playoff round or first round. But I don't know. I kind of have doubts, but it is an up and down season. I guess we'll see what happens. We lost Jimmy VC to waivers today. He was a little bit on the penalty kill. He did some penalty killing for us, and it might be hard to get some of those minutes back because we don't have the best penalty killers. But I think they're making room for trades coming up. We saw Kyle Dubas's press conference. I think it was yesterday. He was talking about how he's not afraid to trade a top prospect or a first round pick, and they're looking for a rental player, somebody who's going to impact right away, because they're concerned that next year's cap's going to be flat, so they don't want to have somebody on the books past this year. I mean, so they're looking for a rental player and somebody with immediate impact in their top 9, I believe. So they're working on making a deal here. I know that they're off until Friday, and I think they play like 2 games in their next 12. So, I mean, it'd be a perfect time to make a trade because there's quarantine in place. So if they're not making a trade within the North Division, then, you know, the player who's going to come from the different East Division or wherever it may be other than the North, then he's going to have to quarantine for the 14 days plus. And then he's going to have to get into practices. So it's a long process, but yeah, I mean, we'll see what they're going to do. And we're getting Simmons back, so that'll be a big boost as well. So yeah, I don't know if they're going to continue this trend of going downward, but I think they're going to turn it around shortly.
I mean, just because it's the Toronto Maple Leafs, I know we both are trying to be positive. We both predicted that they're going to win the cup because it is we're in the middle of a pandemic, so there's not going to be a parade, and that's just fitting for the Maple Leafs. That's exactly when they're going to win. But the road to the Stanley Cup, and just speaking realistically, I know that they're going to make us go through that roller coaster that we go through each and every year. It's not that big of a bump in the road right now, but if they don't make changes, I know they're getting Simmons back, like you said. Is it a great idea to trade away a top prospect? Probably, for a rental. I mean, if you really think that your team has what it takes to win the cup, if they're in an easier to, I think it's an easier division. Uh, just go for it. I mean, what's there to lose? If you are still one of the top teams in the NHL, I know you're saying we need to make the trade earlier because of quarantine and everything, but if played how many 40% of the games? I know you're going to fact check me next week, but you've played a good chunk of the games and you're in a good spot. You've fallen a little bit. You need that pick me up. You need the Wayne Simmons back. You need Marner to not be a streaky player like we talked about last time. And maybe that rental player that's going to just take you even further, elevate you, kind of like how this is not the same sport, but kind of how the Jays were elevated when they made all those trades a couple years ago to make the push for the playoffs. They were a below 500 team at the time, I think. And then you make the trades, you build your team. I know a lot of them were rental players, but they went as far as they did. I don't know. Right now, I've been disappointed for so many damn years with the Maple Leafs. I don't have any problems right now keeping that top prospect. Just trade what you can to get a damn good player back to help your team go that next step further.
I think I'm going to disagree with you here. I mean, the number one goal as a franchise, as a general manager, is to win a championship. And if Kyle Dubas thinks that his team right now is close but not good enough yet, I believe that you should trade that top prospect. You should trade that first round pick because you're that much closer. And if you don't take chances, we saw what Masai Ujiri did when he traded for Kawhi Leonard and we won the championship. So you got to make those risks. I know if we end up trading, like, let's say a Nick Robertson or a Rasmus Sandin or even a Rodion Amarov, like those guys are the top prospects of the Leafs. And if we do trade them and it doesn't turn out, we get another first round playoff loss or something to that effect. I know Dubas is going to feel the heat again, but I mean, it's about making deals. And if you think your team's not good enough, but just close, I see no harm in, put all your chips in one basket and just go for it this year, because even with a North Division, we only need to beat two other teams to make it out of the out of the semifinals and go into the finals. So two teams out of the North Division. So I don't know. I think.
Yeah, no, I don't know if maybe it's a Zoom call, but I am thinking I'm on board to trade a top prospect. So we're agreeing then, right, Bill?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought you said I disagree.
No. I agree. I fully agree. I mean, yeah, there's upside, there's downside to making that move, but like I've been disappointed for so many years. Just make that damn move the team forward. And like you said, the GM could get a lot of heat, but at this point, with all of Canada being in lockdown for so long, we have Maple Leaf fans all over Canada. It's not just Ontario, not just Toronto. If they win the cup, Canada is going to go crazy. And, I think anybody, Canada, US, they need, that win is going to elevate the people's emotions and everything, being the pandemic and whatever. But I think if Toronto wins, hopefully it'll blow it up so much that the pandemic ends. Like a full eruption of volcano and whatnot. But anyway, no, yeah, we are agreeing on that note. just make the move, man. Like, stop talking, make the move. I didn't realize with the quarantine rules, so thank you for letting me know about that. Make the move now if it's going to help you. I think where maybe you thought I wasn't agreeing was maybe wait a little bit. I'd like to wait to see where they're at a little bit later in the season, but like you said, with the quarantine rules, they're not playing in the next 2 games in the next 12 days or something like that.
Yeah.
So make the move. I think now is, like you said, seems like a better option. So I think this time we're agreeing. So let's make the move, Kyle. Hopefully you're listening. Drop us a 5-star review and make that trade. I probably have never even heard of those prospects that you're looking to trade. So just make the move. So Bill, we actually have a little bit more time. Do you want to discuss anything else in the NHL, or do you want to move on to our hat trick segment?
Well, I mean, if we have more time on the Leafs, I just want to talk more about the fact that we are gonna get Simmons back. So I mean, that's gonna give us a big boost. That's getting like a player from the trade deadline without actually trading assets. And you're gonna see, I think, Galchenyuk get into a game here. He's been traded a bunch of times throughout his career, and he's gonna get his chance to show what he has for the Maple Leafs. Yeah. And I saw their practice lines today. They had Tavares in the middle with Nylander and Galchenyuk on the wing. So I'm curious to see what he's going to bring to the table. I've heard multiple mixed reviews. Just reading online. Being on Twitter, I hear his work ethic has been a little bit poor in the past, and he wants he wants things served on a silver platter to him, but I've also heard good things where he has good work ethic and good habits. So I guess we're just going to see how he fits into the Leafs, and if he's going to be a taxi squad mainstay, or if he's actually going to be playing on the top 2 lines. Hopefully it works out for the latter, and we can get a good player out of Galchenyuk.
Yeah, I mean, if you have that player coming in, stepping into the lineup, you have Simmons coming back. I love Simmons. He's gonna elevate the team, and then making that trade, that potential trade. Maybe next time we talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs in our 1967 segment, where they're going to be number 1 again in the league. I think right now, and don't quote me, they're down to 3rd or 4th overall in the NHL. So it's not that far of a drop, but it's that roller coaster that we always see each and every year. They're a lot better. They're more climbing the ladder this time around. But you can't get over that hump. You can't get over that first round playoff without thinking and going for that top rental player for that prospect. And I think I'm going to cut myself off with that one. We are out of time. So Kyle Dubas, please, I know you're listening. Make the trade.
Make the trade for Foligno. I want Foligno.
You want Foligno?
I don't know. I keep hearing him in the rumor mills, but that'd be a good guy to have. Good leadership.
We'll see
what happens.
That he's been a great leader for many years. So yeah, that would definitely be, a home run. Changing subjects, but that's awesome if we could do that, guys. If you're watching this on YouTube and you notice us maybe kind of looking down, we're always looking for some breaking news. I know when we first filmed our podcast, we dropped it 10 days after we filmed it, so the news was a little bit delayed. Now we're filming 2 days before we drop. We're always trying to just peek and look at Twitter and breaking news and breaking whatnot. So that's what that might be. And sometimes I think there was a comment because I thought Bill was frozen last time. He was so still. He was focusing in that Twitter bubble to see some of the top breaking news. And I just looked foolish last time. Hey, Bill, you still there? Recording on Zoom, that stuff happens. So guys, just bear with us with any technical issues or just us looking down at Twitter. So Bill, I might need some help with this segment. This next one is our the hat trick segment. So each and every week, one of us picks 3 top players, teams, groups from the NHL. Last time you had great stories all around. It wasn't players that were the best on the ice. It was those awesome stories that you love to hear off the ice. So I have some big shoes to fill, but the hat trick is coming up next, and it is my week to pick in the hat trick. All right, guys, here is our hat trick segment, and I am sweating under the lights. Bill, you knocked it out of the park last week with your hat trick. This time, it's a little bit all over the place. I'm going to go with an honorable mention as well as the hat trick. And I'm going with the Edmonton Oilers overall. Their scoring has been on fire. They've scored 1 million points in however many games. I know I'm going to be fact checked, but I don't care. I want to say that anyway. There was a point in time where when the Leafs faced McDavid and shut him out, he was pointless or goalless in the 3 games or 4 games that we faced him.
He was pointless, and Draisaitl had 1 point. I'll fact check it, but I'm pretty sure from memory I can recall that.
And I'll speed through this because it is just an honorable mention, but the internet community was all over those guys, and now they're just tearing it up. I'm not looking into how many points they have. This is just an honorable mention, but they against Ottawa was like 6-0 or something yesterday, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
So a high amount of points. Top line, their second line, everybody's producing. So good on them. I know they're in our division, but we gotta respect some good hockey and some good players. They turned it around. So honorable mention right there. Next up, I love this guy. I know a lot of people don't. Ovechkin. Each and every year that we play fantasy hockey, I just pray that I'm number 1, 2, or 3 so I could pick him up. This guy all around the board knocks it out of the park. We have hits in our fantasy hockey, and he's not just a scorer. He's a hitter. He's like an assist machine. He is all over the place. He plays phenomenal. He is now 6th overall. So he passed Phil Esposito for scoring. And Bill, you mentioned this to me a couple days ago. He definitely is the best scorer, sniper of this era, hands down. Anybody that tries to argue with that can come face me. This guy, he faced so much criticism in the Olympics, in early days, when he was, early on in his career. A lot of people were saying he's a lazy player, this, that. He kind of checks out early on. I'm talking about he was only doing it for his country. I heard so many things all over the place. But man, this guy, now he's a Stanley Cup winner and he's tasted that cup. He wants it again. He is definitely one of the best of all time and one of the best scorers of all time. He sits 6th right now. I don't know if you're going to disagree with that, with those 2 that I just mentioned.
I mean, it's definitely up for debate who's the best goal scorer of all time is. It's so hard to compare eras because the game changes so much. I mean, the goalies change, padding changes, rules change and everything like that. But I definitely do think Ovechkin is one of the best goal scorers of all time. And you know what? It's going to be fun to see him climb up the ladder. I don't think he's going to finish 6th overall in goal scoring by the time he's retired. I think he's going to keep climbing. And it's going to be really interesting to see if he can catch Wayne Gretzky. I mean, that's a tall task. He's going to have to play for a while and score at a crazy clip. But
yeah,
you know what? If it happens, it happens.
Okay, so he's not the best scorer of all time, but he is one of the best. You have to always include Ovechkin in there. And who knows where he's going to end up, but he's sitting solely right now 6th overall. Kudos to him. And the dude has character. He's just a funny guy as well on and off the ice. So he's not a boring player to check out. He's like so much energy, so much passion, and just I love watching him, whether it's in skits off the ice, like those commercials that we used to watch with the NHL, and what he's doing currently on the ice. Moving on, because we don't have that much time. These next two, I know this is why I threw in an honorable mention, because these two can be also a third or a hat trick player, or you can combine them together. There's definitely some importance of having a third goalie during the whole pandemic, because anything can happen with quarantine rules and what everything that's happening. You definitely need that third goalie. So these stories with the Sens goalie Joey Daccord, I believe.
Yeah, Joey Daccord. Yeah.
Oh, Daccord. Joey Daccord. He won his first NHL game against the Leafs, and he was an unexpected starter because Matt Murray got injured. So kudos to him. He made it into our hat trick for the week. And then I'll let you touch on them as well, because I think you watched that game. But we also have a Bruins goalie, Dan Vladar.
Vladar. Yeah, Dan Vladar.
He won his first NHL game against, I know I bleed blue with the Toronto Maple Leafs, but I love the Penguins. So he won. I love the Penguins as well. Sidney Crosby. Download us, Sydney. He won against the Pens, and that's another story where the importance of having a third goalie to utilize during this time with the pandemic is everything has, the pandemic has altered so many different sports, so many different like ways to plan for things, whether in the business world or in the sports world, and even just in our lives. So that's why I'm including two third goalies that won their first NHL games for the week. Alexander Ovechkin for passing Phil Esposito on the scoring title, and the honorable mention of the Edmonton Oilers. And with all that said, I am 4 minutes under the buzzer. So you have anything to debate, Bill, or are we good?
That's awesome, because that that leaves me some time to speak about your great choices. I just want to start from Ovechkin. I just want to give a shout out to Phil Esposito. I mean, he went online and wished Ovechkin, or congratulated Ovechkin on passing him. I mean, I always think about this, and I always think, what if I was one of these guys who had like a crazy record, like Phil Esposito? Like, would I be happy for Ovechkin passing me, or would I be like, oh man, like somebody passed me again? I mean, it's just funny to think about. And huge congrats to Ovechkin, and huge respect to Esposito for going on Twitter and on social media and giving the congratulations to Ovechkin. I think that was really special. And then going on to your second and / third kind of picks, the Joey Daccord and Vladar.
Yeah.
I mean, what's not to like about those stories? I mean, Daccord came in for the Sens. He had to come into the game because Matt Murray was injured during warmups, and I watched that game, and they were facing the Leafs, and Daccord actually beat the Leafs. So that was upsetting. But seeing Daccord actually play and getting the call when you're not expecting it, and to show that poise and to come out with a victory, I thought that was really special. And just seeing him, like, when Ottawa would score, he would go to the bench and he would celebrate, and he was always involved in, like, giving like team hugs, and always in the discussion. Like, you could tell he was focused, he was in the game. That's tremendous to see from somebody who is making their first NHL start. So I commend him. And going to Vladar, I know Boston has had some issues with their goaltending as Rask has been injured for a little bit, and Halak started the game before. So back-to-back games are really important this season. And you see the importance of a third string goalie now, because COVID rules, the taxi squad. I mean, it all alters how you're getting, dinged against the cap. So teams are being very, very smart in terms of what they want to do in terms of their flexibility. They're trying to carry that third goalie so that they have that flexibility. You always see goalies getting snagged on waivers from other teams because they're a hot commodity. If one goalie goes down, you don't have that third string insurance. So it's really good to see those guys get their first NHL wins. It's really special. I think we're going to see more of that in this year's NHL, and I'm really excited to see that for these young guys who are making their step into their career.
Well, yeah, and you brought up a good point with was it Dackard that was going to the bench? You never know when that's going to happen again to you. So you just take in the moment as much as you can. And yeah, it's awesome to see. I know the Leafs lost, but it was cool to see him with every goal celebrating and just like living in that moment. Who knows when that can happen again? This year, it's very likely that it could happen again. But it's just so it's unbelievable. I remember, like, was it last year or the year before when the Leafs lost to the Zamboni driver?
That was last year on my wedding day.
So like it's just, I don't know. It sucks that it's always against our teams, but well, for this one it's a double whammy. The Penguins lost and the Leafs lost. But it's cool to see just these guys that probably never thought that they would play a game in the NHL, let alone win a game in the NHL, and not just against like any team, against the Penguins and the Toronto Maple Leafs. So kudos to those guys. And guys, we are out of time, so we have to move on to our next segment. Bill, that's it's 2 for 2. We've hit the buzzer, we've hit the limit. But we've agreed on a lot so far, so that's good. We don't have to fight next family Zoom dinner.
The night's still early.
I know. We still have a couple more segments to go, guys. Next up is our football segment. I know the NHL or the NFL is not around right now, but there's lots to talk about with free agency. And this one is called the 2-point conversion. All right, guys, we're back with our 2-point conversion. Each and every time we produce a pod, we'll be discussing things from the AFC and NFC in the NFL until play actually resumes in the NFL, because it's the off season. We're going to be discussing a mishmash of things. Let's get right into it. JJ Watt. Last time we talked on the pod, JJ Watt was looking for a home, and we were completely wrong as to where he went. Bill, what happened?
Well, yeah, we talked about his potential suitors in the last week's pod. We talked about how the Titans, Packers, and the Bills, they were the front runners. Well, we were completely wrong. He actually went to the Arizona Cardinals. And it's actually a funny story how he ended up breaking the news himself.
I heard about that. Do you mind if I chime in here a little bit?
Go ahead.
Okay, so sorry to cut you off, but yeah, I just found it hilarious. He didn't want anybody knowing where he went. He wanted to take it into his own hands. So JJ Watt got his friends or his brother's friend to purchase several team t-shirts. And that way the packaging company, the manufacturer, they wouldn't know where it was going. It was going to the friend's house, the buddy's house. And I think JJ Watt even gave him a shout out during the press conference, right, Bill?
Yeah, he did.
So he had this done. I don't remember all of it, but he got 4 or 5 shirts delivered to the friend's house. The friend gave it to the brother, to JJ's brother, and then to JJ.
Yeah, that's exactly how it went.
So I don't know, man. Like, I think, and then you said, it's good that he took it into his own hands. Like, that way, guys like, whoever, all these professionals that break the news, he wanted it to come from himself. He wanted JJ Watt to break the story. So that's really cool.
Yeah, you're seeing more of that nowadays. You're seeing players, they want to break their own news. And that's something that that's something new to the game, because you see all these insiders, they're breaking the news on Twitter. But when a player takes it into his own hands, you know that they really care and that they really want the message to come from them. So that was really interesting to see, and good luck in Arizona. I think he's going to tear it up.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that he broke the news himself. I think we talked about it a couple times, even on the pod, where we wanted him to go to Pittsburgh to be with his brothers. That would have been a good story too. But it was funny in a sense where this is, JJ Watt and then source JJ Watt. So it was cool. I don't know what he's going to do with the rest of those shirts. Hopefully he signs them and gives them away. But that was very interesting, and definitely a huge swerve. I never saw Arizona coming, but they paid well, and it's a good place for him to end up. So kudos and good job for JJ Watt. Bill, if you have nothing else to touch on JJ Watt, I think we'll go quickly into Drew Brees retiring. I'm gonna get fact checked big time, but I loved Brees on the Saints for many years. Every time that they were in the Super Bowl, I always cheered them on. Less 17-year career. Not exactly sure.
I think it's 17, but I'll fact check you next week. And
So it's good. It's good. Good job. Like, guy, was a gem for so many years on and off the field. It was always good stories. I didn't really follow him too closely, mostly when they were in the playoffs and making it to the Super Bowl. That's when I really, started to cheer for them during the regular season, because they're in the same division. I like the Carolina Panthers, so anytime that they faced each other in the regular season, I always rooted against him. But good job. It was a great career for Drew Brees, and he packed it up when he knew that it was time. So congratulations, Drew, on an amazing career.
yeah, I mean, the Saints were always a really good team to watch, just for me, because Drew Brees was a pass first guy, and he has crazy amount of records. He's in the record books forever with his passing rating. And those are always the fun games to watch. I didn't really want to watch some guy, the running backs run the ball, or, quarterback sneaks and things like that. I wanted to see, those high flying throws and those Hail Marys. And he was a guy who was never afraid to chuck it up in the air and see what happens. And he made a great career out of it. And it just goes to show you that, he wasn't the biggest guy, and he wasn't the tallest guy, but that just goes to show you, if you're put in the right environment and with his intangible leadership, he had a tremendous career. And you really see it around the NFL football, around the NFL league, that a lot of the players respected him, and you see a lot of the support that he got when he announced his retirement. A lot of people on social media, a lot of players, a lot of executives, a lot of analysts, they all reached out to Drew and they wished him best of luck in his career going forward. I think he's going to be working with he's going to be doing some commentary, but I got to look into that next week, and I'll let you know.
No, that makes sense. I mean, that's usually the step in the next step in their careers, commentary, or head coach, or quarterback coach, whatever. The game is never really away from them. It's never really too far away from their fingertips. So we'll see what next season holds for Drew Brees. But again, good guy all around. Everybody sending congratulations and great messages over to Drew Brees. And Saved by the Buzzers doing the same. So congrats, Drew Brees, on an amazing career. I think we got to step into, maybe, I don't know if we're going to disagree on this topic, but the Patriots are back in the news. It's not bad news. I still don't like them. And I still don't think they're going to go very far. But they are buying a team. They are buying their team. They're trying to spend money to buy a championship team. Kudos to them for doing that. But Bill, what do you think?
They're spending a lot of dough this free agency. Free agency opened, I think, 2 days ago, and they've been busy. So you're seeing them spend a lot of money. I think they got the two top tight ends. I think they got Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. They're bolstering up, the passing game. They're giving weapons to Cam Newton. I think it's going to be interesting to see. I don't think that they're a contender by any means, but it's going to be really interesting to see how they get out of their division, how they're going to fight, and how they're going to tango with the Buffalo Bills this season, because the Bills are a contender. So I think what New England has done is a step in the right direction to, surround Cam Newton with some options. And it's just going to be fun to see, because we're going to see them tango with the Buffalo Bills and hopefully make it interesting, unlike last year where, the Buffalo Bills handed them a couple good losses. So we'll see what happens. It's funny because New England, they wouldn't spend too much money when Tom Brady was the quarterback, because I guess they knew what they had in Tom Brady and they could win with, subpar receivers and, things like that. So it's interesting to me to see that they're spending the money this year. And I think that that's their only option, because they don't have a Tom Brady, quarterbacking their team. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. We'll see if they're going to be a contender, and go Bills.
Well, Tom Brady probably could have won with the two of us on his team. But now, Bill Belichick and the rest of the Saint, or I was going to call them the Saint Pats, the Patriots, they are, they need to spend that money. I love Cam Newton coming from Carolina, but now that he's on the Patriots, I could care less for him. It's all about the Bills right now for us in that division. So hopefully they can smack him around a couple more times. It was exciting to see the Bills go as far as they did. A little disappointing they didn't go all the way to the Super Bowl. Hopefully things continue in the right direction for that organization, for the Bills, and we see them go, smack them around a little bit more, and get out of that, get first in their division, and move on to good things in the playoffs next year. Hopefully I don't jinx them, but I love the Bills, and I love that table when everybody and does power bombs and whatnot through the table with the Bills Mafia.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how this year plays out. I don't see the Patriots. Maybe they make the playoffs, but I don't. It always takes some time for that team to gel. So hopefully, for non-Patriot fans, they lose and don't even make it into the playoffs. So I think we're out of time. With that, I'm cutting myself off again. Bill, we have a very special segment coming up next. This is near and dear to my heart and yours as well. You've been watching a lot more wrestling lately, so now it's even more near and dear to your heart. But coming from the Spry Wrestling background that I have, I just always love professional wrestling. Coming up next, we have our King of the Ring segment. We're going to be discussing everything there is in professional wrestling and a little bit of MMA. I think I might talk about the UFC a little bit. It's jam-packed. So I don't know how much we can get to. We'll try to get to most of it. But before we do, we have our sponsor, Macarons by Laura Maria. Please check her out. Bill, do you have that sign again, or is it not with you?
Yeah.
All right, so we have Macarons by Laura Maria. These are scrumptious, delicious tasting macarons. She can make anything. You can make huge football macarons, delicious taste, amazing look. We had them at the Super Bowl. If you're looking for a theme, like my son's really into Among Us, the video game, so she's made some Among Us imposters. There's tons of stuff out there. Please drop her or follow her on Instagram and Facebook. She's macarons.by.Laura Maria on Instagram and Facebook. Again, we'll have all of her details in our description of this podcast on YouTube and wherever you listen to these podcasts. And check her out. I think she had a few follows from us. If you're coming from Saved by the Buzzer, if you're listening to this and then you go follow her, tell her that we sent you over, and you won't be disappointed. I know Bill gets them daily, these amazing macarons. I get them once a week, and that's all I can handle. I devour them within seconds. My daughter, she's 2 years old, and she knows the word macaron and macarons just because of this. Anytime she sees a cookie, she calls it a macaron. On anytime we're scrolling on Instagram, all because of Macarons by Laura Maria. Check her out, guys. So that is our sponsor. We are thankful for having her as a sponsor 2 weeks in a row. I think she's a sponsor for the rest of March as well. Check her out wherever you can, and tell her that we sent you that way. So Bill, I don't have anybody to lead us into the King of the Ring segment. We had Morales to open up our pod, which is awesome. But right after this little video, we will hit up the King of the Ring. All right, Bill, we are back with another edition, jam-packed, of King of the Ring. This is where we talk about everything wrestling, professional wrestling, and mixed martial arts, whether it's sports entertainment like the WWE, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, or AEW, or MMA and beyond. We're going to try to jam it into here. I know we don't have that much time, so we're going to dive right into it. Should we talk about the 15,000 people that are going to be allowed now in a UFC arena? Dana White announced that they are hosting UFC 261 on April 24th. Full crowd of 15,000 in Jacksonville, Florida. And I don't know, the card looks okay to me. I know he said it was a jam-packed card. I don't really know a lot of the fighters on that card. I'll definitely watch it. I'm not going. I have no interest in going to any event for a while, but that is definitely interesting news. I don't want to get too much into it, but what are your thoughts? I mean, I get it. They need that crowd. The people need to watch professional sports live again, but that's a lot of people.
I mean, don't we see it in Florida happening like all the time? Like Florida, they're putting everything in Florida, every kind of event. So just add another one, I guess. And that's going to be sold out anyways. But is this a step in the right direction in terms of, allowing every venue to allow their max amount of fans? I don't think so. Is he jumping the gun a little bit? Probably. But what are you going to do? I mean, Dana White's always been a guy who, isn't afraid to take the bull by the horns and, make his own calls. And he's going to be, we're going to see how it pans out. If it's going to be a big destruction in terms of, outbreak or anything like that. But it's going to be interesting to see, nevertheless. And it's going to be a good card. I'm going to watch that for sure. So I don't think it's a step in the right direction. And, we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, I mean, we're not in their shoes, so we don't know what amount of money they're losing, this and that. It's Florida. I know everybody's going down there for any events now. Kind of jumping into the WWE just a little bit before I go to AEW. WrestleMania tickets were actually on sale yesterday. No, they're going on sale the 19th. I'm not sure. They're going on sale this week. WrestleMania will be in Tampa, Florida, 2 nights. It's going to be April 10th and 11th, and they are allowing a crowd as well. I don't know what the capacity is. It's a big arena. Raymond James Stadium holds more than 15,000 that the UFC is going to host. And they're doing it over 2 nights. So if they even do it at 30, 40, 50% capacity spread over 2 nights, there's your total gate that you were looking to have for WrestleMania. So, I know they're going to do what they can to keep the fans safe and to keep the talent safe. But there's another story there in Florida where the WWE is going to allow fans, and it's WrestleMania, so you're not going to have. I know that Vince is not going to want only 10% audience. I think AEW is only doing 10% or 20% capacity. So I'm imagining with a WrestleMania crowd, he's going to want to see a big, or at least make it seem somewhat decent sized and just packed, and with the noise, and to bring it back to that WrestleMania feel that we get each and every year. But Bill, unless you want to touch on that, do you want to go into some AEW talk?
Yeah, let's do some AEW talk, because I know we got a jam packed. This wrestling segment is jam packed because a lot of things are happening. So if we need to jump back and forth between WWE and AEW, we'll do it. But yeah, we'll turn our wheels over to the AEW.
Okay, I'll start if that's okay with you for AEW. I think I sent you. You weren't watching that night, but their latest pay-per-view ended with a birthday cake of sparklers and Eddie Kingston jumping on top and really selling that exploding ring. It's a shame that the match ended with exactly. My wife actually said I've seen more exciting candles on a birthday cake than that. I don't know what happened. They're not really. I don't think they really even discussed. I'm pretty sure that they didn't discuss what exactly happened. But they, Kenny Omega or Eddie Kingston sold it. The commentators sold it that it was a big explosion. The match itself was phenomenal. The card itself was not so much. I liked the final three matches. Everything else is just a blur. And then you end it with that. It's a shame. But why I'm bringing it up mostly because there was a lot of hate with this. And there seems to be this blanket over AEW because they're a new organization. But at the end of the day, they're owned by a billionaire. Tony Khan is still going to be okay regardless of what happens. If WWE does this, everybody craps all over it, and their moms. Everybody and their moms craps all over this. But because it's AEW, half the internet wrestling community and the fans crapped on it. The fans even there were chanting refund. But then the AEW diehards were just upset that people were doing it. Relax. Nothing's going to happen. Tony Khan's going to be okay. People are still going to watch AEW. It was an awesome show. They screwed up, and then it generated a lot of negative buzz or funny buzz or whatever after the fact. Just let it go, right? I mean, it is what it is. That's what happened. And I just had to say something because we as a podcast, we put out that video on our social media page with the sparklers, and then Michael Scott saying that was not scripted, or the other one with somebody, I think I'll let you talk about it, was looking for the explosion. That was a bigger explosive, or that was more exploding than the actual explosion itself. We don't have that much time, so unless do you want to chime in here, or do you want to bring up the fact that he arrived? I know the people that are listening, they don't know what we're doing. We're basically looking out into the distance for
Christian Cage, and uh, I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of what had happened in AEW's pay-per-view there. So I'm not going to touch on that, but yeah, Christian Cage. I mean, I was more interested in last week's show on Wednesday when Christian Cage was coming out, and he had his little interaction with Kenny Omega. I'm more interested to see what happens there between the two of them, two Canadian boys. So, I mean, I love Christian Cage growing up, known as Christian from WWE with Edge. It's going to be really cool to see what kind of fitness level he's at. I mean, he's up there in age, but again, AEW has a way of getting these guys, getting these older guys to come fight for them, to come and I guess revitalize their career. These guys still want to wrestle, right? these guys are signing because they want to wrestle. They still want to be on the mic. They still want to be on as part of the shows as one of the main cards. So I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with Christian Cage, and I'm hoping that it's going to be a little feud between him and Kenny Omega because two Canadian boys. They got Jericho on the show as well, and I don't know if you want to talk about what had happened with the Inner Circle, because that was more exciting to me on that regular Wednesday show than what they did in the pay-per-view. So I don't know if you want to touch on that.
Yeah, we could. I mean, that definitely surprised me. But before we go into that, I think I said it last week where nothing really surprises me anymore because Paul White signed with them, but then Christian Cage comes out, signs with them. I called you almost right away, and I can't say here because we're trying to keep it somewhat family friendly, but Christian Beepin Cage is how when you said hello, that's how that's what I responded with. I was shocked. And again, AEW continues to shock me. So what happened at Dynamite? That was another shocking moment. Definitely. I mean, you have do you want me to go through what exactly happened?
Yeah, just
Okay.
give the viewers a little sneak peek.
So if you didn't watch it, you have MJF and the Inner Circle in the ring doing their war council because there's been a lot of issues within the Inner Circle. Sammy Guevara, who you and I have talked about him many times, and we thought there was legitimate heat with him backstage. Maybe he's going to WWE. Why is he not on TV anymore? He comes out and shows that he set up a camera in the locker room, and then he leaves the locker room. MJF comes in talking to Santana and Ortiz and Jake Hagar, telling them tonight's the night we turn on Chris. You guys still in? Yes, we're in. Chris Jericho sees this. Sammy Guevara is, telling Chris Jericho, you have to watch this. You have to watch this. So they put it up on the screen. So he's trying to get in the good grace with Chris Jericho. Everybody starts to approach Jericho like they're going to attack him. Then they all turn around. Bam. They're all on Jericho's side. They're going to turn on MJF. MJF is in the corner crying or being emotional. Then he tells everybody, I have been working on a faction or something along those lines, but it's not to take yours away. It's to build my own. Lights go out. Behind the Inner Circle is a new faction, FTR, Tully Blanchard, Wardlow, and Sean Spears. I really hope I'm not missing anybody. And of course, they're all being led by MJF, and they're all wearing black. And then a huge brawl ensues. Champagne bottles were smashed, bats were used, chairs were used. Jericho's left bloody. MJF is standing tall with his new faction. Now we have two huge factions in AEW. And again, I think I said it last week, WWE is getting stale. I know around WrestleMania, it starts to pick up and then gets stale again. Each and every week with AEW, it is fresh as beep. It's something to keep you into and watching. Again next week. What's going to happen? Well, tonight's Wednesday, so it's happening right now. We'll touch on it next time, but it's amazing. Each and every time we watch AEW, there's always something to talk about, whether it's a new talent. I know there's a lot of older talent crossing into AEW, but they need that old talent from WWE and other promotions to get over the new homegrown talent. So I get that point. But there's always something in AEW to watch and to enjoy and to talk about.
That was more explosive than the actual explosion match. I mean, like
the
way you explained it, buddy, like kudos to you. That was an amazing explanation. And I was just smiling the whole time because I was thinking about how it went down, how that war council went down. And it was something that I wasn't expecting. And that's something you need in a show like that, in professional wrestling like that. So that that was crazy to see, and I did not expect that whatsoever, and I'm pretty sure you didn't expect it. So I'm excited to see what AEW has in store for tonight. I got to rewatch it, and hopefully they're gonna be bringing back more of the older guys. Honestly, that's what's keeping me interested. And I know you said, yeah, they're bringing in older talent, and but they got some fresh talent too. I mean, they're doing a good job of mixing it up. So I'm really glad to see that they're competing with the WWE, and we're gonna see what happens in the future.
Yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on, and it's fresh. So guys, it is, trust me, I've been watching wrestling my whole life. When I was 2 years old, I was watching Hulk Hogan on a big tube TV all the way to now, and it is AEW is fresh. Impact Wrestling, all these smaller organizations. I know AEW is owned by billionaires, so it's a big organization, but check out as much wrestling as you can. There's wrestling each and every night of the week. It's awesome to watch. AEW right now is slightly over WWE, in my opinion. Moving on quickly, we don't have that much time, so I don't think we'll get through our Fastlane predictions, which is the next pay-per-view coming up, but we can always post something on social media. But we talked about Lashley being, or the Miz being, WWE champion in our last pod, and he was going to be a transitional champion. Well, it didn't last long. He lost the belt, which is what we said. The very next week, I think a couple days after we recorded our pod, our first podcast, to Lashley on Monday Night Raw. Again, that is something to me. That's something fresh, and it's something that surprised me that they would change on Raw rather than a pay-per-view. But I think they wanted to get it over with as soon as possible. This is now leading to Lashley defending against McIntyre at WrestleMania, and also it's the start of the Almighty era, which is awesome. So he's won the title, and he's defended it within a matter of 2 weeks, within a matter of week to week. But now, so we have that WrestleMania match. Then we also have The Miz. So we were right about that. The Miz now is in a program with, still in a program with Bad Bunny. He attacked Bad Bunny from behind with a guitar while Damian Priest was distracted by Johnny
Morrison.
But I was going to call him Johnny Nitro, his old gimmick. And I thought for a little bit, for a second, that they weren't going to do anything with Bad Bunny and Miz, and then they, good on them for not having Bad Bunny cost the Miz the championship, which is what I thought was going to happen. Lashley just won it because he's dominant, but you're still continuing that program, which is great because now Bad Bunny, I feel like I'm educated on Bad Bunny thanks to you, Bill, from our last podcast, which, guys, you should download it, check it out, and also make sure you drop us a 5-star review. But Bill let me know who Bad Bunny was on that podcast, and now he's a Grammy winner too. So you throw in all of this stuff for a marquee matchup to get additional people to watch WrestleMania. I'm more interested now in this match than I was 6 weeks ago at the Royal Rumble when I first saw Bad Bunny.
Yeah, I like what they're doing with Bad Bunny now. I think it's a good act that they're putting on, and to see somebody from, he's an artist, right? So I mean, to see somebody who a Grammy Award winner now be involved in the WWE, I think it's a great move by their part. And you really see that, I heard a lot of things about Bad Bunny online. Like Randy Orton was saying how much he appreciates like what Bad Bunny has done for, the music industry, as well as how much respect Bad Bunny has for these professional athletes in the wrestling setting. Bad Bunny actually wants to be part of this and wants to be part of the WWE and wants to have a face on, on their program. So kudos to him.
I think I caught Bill off guard there because sorry, buddy, we're out of time. If you want, you can finish your what you were gonna say.
No, man, it's the name of the game. We wouldn't have the name Saved by the Buzzer if we didn't have a buzzer. But I'll just end my note really quick. It's really cool that the WWE is incorporating Bad Bunny, a Grammy winner, into their program. It's gonna attract more of a diverse audience. So you know what? It's gonna be good to see, and can't wait to see him actually wrestle. I hope
Yeah.
that'll happen.
Yeah, I think it'll happen at WrestleMania. So guys, yeah, we are out of time, but I need to slip this in here. We won't dwell on it. You guys will see our notes as well to see what we didn't discuss. But say hello to your 50 time. That's right, 50 time 24/7 champion, R-Truth, because Bad Bunny, he didn't lose it. He forfeited. He gave R-Truth the championship. So kudos to Bad Bunny for doing that. And now we have a 50 time 24/7 champion. So guys, like we said, we'll post our notes online to let everybody know what we planned on talking about and what we didn't get to. There's still a couple more things that we want to discuss for WWE, but we're out of time. And coming up next, we have 2 segments left. I know it's a jam-packed episode, and we don't even have an interview this week, but we're talking about the Toronto Raptors and the NBA coming up next. This is In the Paint. All right, guys, we are back. This is In the Paint. We're discussing the Raptors and the NBA, and my God, what a fall from grace. We have the Raptors now well below 500. Last time we talked about the Raptors, they were still below 500, but 4 spots above the last place team in the East, something like that.
I think they're fifth in the
In the
Eastern
fifth in the
Conference. Yeah.
East, but now they are 4th from the bottom. So please correct me next week, Bill. But the Raptors, what's going on? They've fallen to even below 500. Their losing streak continues. You actually said to me last time, you wouldn't call it a losing streak because it was 2 or 3 in a row. I think now they've lost 5 or 6 in a row. That's a losing streak.
Yeah, and it's the COVID protocols in place that have hindered the Raptors' success. They dropped 5 games below 500. I think they're 17-22 at this point as we speak. And you were talking about earlier how our eyes are moving all over the place. You know, we're looking down, we're looking around because we're looking for breaking news and this and that. Well, I got the Toronto Raptors right here in the corner of my screen, and I've been watching them play tonight, and they're losing, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully they can turn it around and come back with a big win against the Pistons tonight. But yeah, we were talking last time on the podcast about how Siakam was actually sat because of his performance. And it's actually funny because when I was reviewing the tapes, when I was reviewing the podcast that we did, it's funny that you said we'll revisit this situation and see if Siakam sits again, because I guaranteed that he wouldn't sit again. Well, he did sit, but that was only because COVID protocols kept him out of the next 5 games for the Raptors. So the All-Star break has passed now. We're into the second half of the season. It's not going to get any easier for the Raptors. They have a condensed schedule, and they got the Nets, I think, coming up for 2 games shortly. They got the Jazz on Friday. Those are some heavy hitting teams, and the Raptors were hit with a COVID bug. We heard that Fred VanVleet actually tested positive. He came out openly and said it in his interview yesterday. So a ton of respect to Fred VanVleet. Shout out to Fred VanVleet for coming out and actually saying that, yeah, you know what, I had tested positive for COVID, because you don't really see athletes displaying that information to the public, because you don't know what it does to their mental health. You know, some people have a stigma around how people get COVID, and there's a negative stigma around it, but the reality is we're living with COVID. We're living in a pandemic situation. So there isn't a blame. He was explaining in his interview, there isn't a blame game of how he got it. He got it and he got over it, and now he was cleared to play. Siakam was in COVID protocol, OG Anunoby, Patrick McCaw, and Malachi Flynn. I think those were the only Raptors who were in the COVID protocol, and they all got cleared to play except OG Anunoby. So they're all back tonight. I think they're on a minutes restriction, so it's going to be hard to see them get their conditioning up. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a tall order. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs this year. It's going to be a tough, tall order to see them actually make the playoffs and make it in the 8th seed, maybe. I don't know, but it doesn't look too good for them. And I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but it's kind of disheartening to see. But what can you do? I mean, this is the age we live in right now.
I think we talked about it last time where we didn't think that they were going to win. We thought they would make the playoffs, but we didn't think they would win the championship. And now, with each passing day, I see more that I still think they will make the playoffs, mostly because we're in the East. Unless they trade a Kyle Lowry because he's in the final year of his contract, maybe a team comes knocking and they want him. But I don't know. It's tough to say. I don't see them going far. They make it to the 8th spot, 7th spot. They're probably done within the first round. Right at this point, the East is a little bit easier than the West. They're 12th or 11th, like you said. So there's still a couple teams to jump, but you're 4 games back from 8th place right now. So they still can make the playoffs. They just won't go far. A little bit of positivity though. I know Kyle Lowry sold his house. I don't that could mean anything. It doesn't mean he's going anywhere, maybe because they're down in Florida. So he realized, as soon as the season's done, they're going back home to Philly, or I think he's in Philadelphia, right? I don't know. That doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean he's going to go. But what I liked was, even if he does get traded, I like that he said he was going to retire a Raptor or leave a Raptor, whether it's a 1-day contract. So even if we don't see Kyle Lowry next year in the Raptors jersey, at least we know that he loved the city, he loved the fans, he loved the team, and he will retire a Toronto Raptor. So things change. I mean, the older you get, the team changes, this and that. There's always circumstances. He at least won a championship with Toronto. I'll always consider him a Raptor, even if he goes somewhere else, and good on him if he goes somewhere else and he wins a championship somewhere else. But then that day when he signs with the Raptors again for that 1-day contract and retires with us, I'll be definitely super happy that he's done that as well. So I thought that was a little bit of good news coming out of the Raptors, or something good to hear, even though we're watching them fall deeper into a hole each and every day.
Yeah, major respect to Kyle Lowry and how he's handled the situation. He knows the situation. He's a veteran guy. He knows that he's in talks to be traded, but I think that situation is fluid with Masai and Bobby Webster. He's not going to get traded just out of the blue. They're going to be talking to him. Management's going to be talking to him, making sure everything's all fine and dandy, everything's comfortable. But he handles it with grace. He handles it with class, and I have nothing but respect to say. I have nothing but respect for Kyle Lowry. I want him to remain a Toronto Raptor, but again, it's a business, so we're going to see where it goes. And I just wanted to touch on they could be in the playoff. They could be in the playoff picture because there is a play-in series. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but if you finish 9th in the Eastern Conference, I think it's 9th or 10th. I'll have the facts next time, but there's a play-in tournament where you have to face the higher seeded, I think 8th seed, and if you win 2 straight games against them, then you make it into the playoffs.
Oh, that's interesting.
They added a little wrinkle this year and last year because of COVID. So
is that just within the East or the West as well?
It's within the East or West, yeah. Okay. So I'll get the facts for you next week, but yeah, they do have a chance even if they finish outside of the 8th seed.
That's pretty good then. So you're telling me there's a chance. Was it Dumb and Dumber? Jim Carrey?
Yeah, it's huge awesome. Jim Carrey.
Awesome. I didn't know that. That's cool. That's very interesting. Okay, so I got a little bit happier, and I'm saying I'm still saying they're going to make the playoffs. They're not going to win, but they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So is that we have anything else to touch on with in the paint, Bill?
I think we're good on that subject. Again,
Wow.
the COVID protocols really did them in. It's going to be hard to regroup, but we'll see where it takes them.
Before we end this segment, I know we have 5 minutes left, and you're watching the game. Do you have the score right now?
Yeah, it's 110, 103 for Detroit, and
Ooh.
there's 57 seconds left, so
All
it's not
right.
looking too good. But
So
I
50,
think
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I think they're gonna be competitive in the next coming days here when they get their players back to their conditioning level.
So you said 57 seconds left, so that means by the time we finish this pod, the game's still going to be going on. Squeaky shoes and all. All right, guys, that is the end of In the Paint, and we are under time for the first time ever. That's awesome. I know we're only 2 weeks into the pod, but coming up next is our last segment before we go through closing arguments because we don't have any interviews for the week. But we are going to talk about the Toronto Blue Jays, MLB, and this one is called Walk Off Home Run. All right, guys, we're back. This is our walk-off segment. Before we dive into the Toronto Blue Jays, I want to just quickly touch on what we talked about earlier. We might be going to Twitch because, Bill, after I don't know how many years, 8 years, MLB The Show 2K21 or MLB The Show 21
Yeah.
is coming to Xbox One, Xbox Series S, and Series X. I'm an Xbox guy, as you guys saw in the Rip Impact interview, and I can cross-play with my brother for the first time in a very long time. So, Bill, we will be playing MLB The Show 21 come April 20th. I can't wait. I pre-ordered it already, so I'm ready to go with that game.
Yeah, that'll be nice. I mean, it's been a while since we played a nice MLB game. I think the last one we played together, what was that? Like, what was it called? The Bigs or something?
Yeah, the Bigs 1 and 2. That was us. That was pretty fun. That's
Uh,
yeah, I had that on Xbox and I think Wii. So it was a long time ago. That
yeah,
was
I remember playing that together. That was
yeah,
like a fun little arcadey game. But yeah, the show, I mean, that sounds tremendous. I want to pre-order it. Do you know when it's coming out?
April 20th. So it comes out April 20th. I've already pre-ordered the digital copy. I think I just got the standard edition, not the nothing with the bonus features. I just want to play the game. So definitely looking forward to that. So we're getting close to opening day. And that's all I have on my notes for the walk-off home run. I haven't been following too much on preseason or spring training, as they call it, in the majors. What do you think with the Toronto Blue Jays during spring training and opening day coming up very, very soon?
It's okay if you haven't been following, buddy. I got this shoulder that you could lean on. So basically, I just want to touch on a few points. Their spring training is going to come to a close soon. I think tomorrow it marks. So tomorrow is March 18th. It marks 2 weeks until the season debut for the Jays. So we're getting really, really close. And there are a few little key notes that I want to talk about. Their rotation again has been taking a little bit of a hit with Nate Pearson. I think he was like scheduled to be like the third or fourth starter, and he had a little bit of a setback because he injured his right groin area. So that takes a little bit of a hit to him, and it's iffy with pitchers, especially guys who haven't been in the majors too long because they're trying to strength up, and spring training it's all to a science, and it really is tough when a pitcher gets injured in these situations because when they come back healthy, they got to build their arm up again, and a lot of the times, someone will retweak an injury, and that's what we're seeing with Nate Pearson. He's tweaked his groin, I think, twice now. So they're going to take it really slow with him. He's not going to be ready for opening day. So that's a tough blow to the Jays, but we're seeing some really good things from their offense. Vlad Guerrero, he celebrated, I think, his 22nd birthday. I mean, he's still so young, right, Dan? Like 22 years old. So he celebrated his birthday yesterday. He went 4 for 4. I think he had a triple, 2 doubles, and a single. He's been on a tear lately, and I'm hearing a lot of good things from different reporters and guys who follow the team in Dunedin. So that's exciting. That's really good to hear. I think their offense is going to be a juggernaut. We're going to look forward to some really big scoring games. And in terms of their pitching, I think they have enough depth where if they do get a bump in the rotation, like Nate Pearson, he's injured. And I think Thomas Hatch, actually, he started the game today for the Jays against the Yankees, and he was pulled because I think he had elbow soreness, and they're awaiting his results. So their pitching is taking a little bit of a hit, but they do have the depth to
just kind of take them a little bit forward. I know with the pitching, it was a concern, right? In the beginning, I mean, we have the hitting, we have the fielding. It's just the pitching that you kind of touched earlier that we need. I haven't followed too closely to the rotation that we have, but just by reading some other articles that's primarily the concern all around. It's the pitching. So yeah, if your rotation's already taken a little bit of a hit, it is a little concerning, but let's see what the results come back with, and take it day by day. Do we have anybody in the system that we can bring up in terms of pitching, or this is, who we got is what we got?
Well, I'm hearing like they got a lot of veterans that they signed to minor league deals and things like that, like Francisco Liriano. I don't know if you remember him. He was on the 2016 Jays as a reliever. He's 37 years old, and I think he's a lock to make it now. This happens every spring training, right? I mean, guys go down with injuries, fluke injuries, or they're playing too hard, or they're trying to impress their teammates, they're trying to impress their coaches, especially younger guys. So, it's always good to have those veterans step up. So we do have the pitching depth. I think our bullpen is going to be a strong point this year. We got Kirby Yates as a potential closer. So I'm not too worried about Nate Pearson. They can ease him back in when the time's right, and we'll see where it goes from there. I'm just really excited to see what their offense is going to do. I mean, I chimed in today and yesterday to see how they played, and I think they got shut out today. But yesterday, I think they put up like 11 or 12 runs, and you saw some really good swings from different guys. Like Marcus Semien, who's a new J, and George Springer looks tremendous out there. I'm excited to see what he does. And every time I see, the Blue Jays lineup, I think I tweeted this to you. I go, I'm excited. Yeah. Like I tweeted that to you because I just can't wait. Like it's getting me going. The 2 weeks from tomorrow can't come fast enough.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And they kind of just touch on capacity. They're facing Texas. Texas is opening their stadium to full capacity. And that first game is against the Jays, right? So interesting to see what happens there. Are we, again, I haven't really been following, but have we settled on where we're going? Are we a Buffalo Blue Jay? Are we a Tampa Bay Blue Jay? Are we a Dunedin Blue Jay? Or are we going to be all three?
Last I heard, they're playing their 2 home stands. I think in April, they're going to be played in Dunedin. So they're settling down there for the first 2 weeks. And then from there, I think they still haven't figured it out, but they said that they're going to be either in Dunedin for a little bit longer, or they're going to move to Buffalo when it's too hot in Florida, because the temperatures are going to rise there. And I don't think they play, I don't think they're too keen on playing in Florida when it's scorching hot. So yeah, it's going to be a fluid situation again. And they're hoping, the Blue Jays management, they're hoping that they're going to be playing in Toronto this year. I personally don't see that happening because of all the protocols and how Canada and the States, they have differing opinions, and their doctors are on it, and everyone's research teams have a different thing to say, and every state has a different kind of all these different kind of rules. So it's going to be tough to see. But if they do come to Toronto and they do play games in Toronto, that'll be really nice to see. And hopefully fans will enter the stadium soon so that we can see the jam-packed Rogers Center and cheer them on from there.
That's good. It's always difficult when you're not in the same area or your city. Maybe that's what's affecting the Raptors, and maybe that's what's helping the Maple Leafs so much this year. I don't know. I'm not in their head, so I can't really say. But to me, if I was not at home, I think that would definitely affect me. And with that said, Bill, we are out of time. That is the buzzer. That was our second ever show. I think we'll just dive right into any closing arguments. I know fact check is coming next week, but I had fun with you again, Bill. Guys, if you are enjoying this podcast, you need to drop us a 5-star review and download and listen, share our podcast. It definitely helps us grow. I don't have too much to say with closing arguments, other than just keep checking us out. I know I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm hoping that anybody listening to this is having fun listening to us in their car for 2 hours. I know traffic can be a pain in the butt, and hopefully we're your escape. Or if you're watching us in the background while you work from home on YouTube, that's okay too. So Bill, that's all I got, man. I mean, I had a lot of fun talking sports again with you for the past 2 hours. I think we are off next week, but we'll drop another podcast early April. And you can fact check me all over the place because I'm pretty sure I got some things wrong, but looking forward to the next one too.
Definitely, buddy. I really enjoyed it this time around again, and get ready for some long fact check next time. I'm going to be on you like you know what.
Yeah, we'll keep it for another time. Again, thank you, Laura, Macarons by Laura Maria, to our sponsor. She is tremendous with everything she does, so thank you to our sponsor. Thank you to Morillas and Bad Boy in all the way from Spain. We got our opener of the podcast from those guys. And I don't know, who else do I thank? Thank you to each of these athletes that just give us entertainment every single day, and to everybody that puts their bodies on the line, especially the professional wrestlers that give us entertainment and things to talk about, and just to give us these venting sessions. Check us out all over the place: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. I know I'm missing so many because we're all over the place. It's funny because my wife writes on our calendar when we're dropping a pod, and I write pod on the day, and then she writes dropping on 14,000 platforms. Check us out, guys. Drop us a 5-star review, and we will see you next time. I'm Dan. He's Bill. See ya.